Have you ever felt that, even after years in school, something essential was left behind? As if all your education was just an empty rehearsal, incapable of preparing you for the challenges and mysteries of real life. Arthur Schopenhauer believed that the educational system is not just flawed, it is deliberately limited. Instead of cultivating free and creative minds, it produces individuals who know how to obey but do not know how to question. This is no accident. This is how a society of conformists is built. People who follow without thinking, who repeat without understanding. But Schopenhauer also believed in a different path, a way for those who dare to see beyond the surface. In this video, we will explore that alternative, a mode of learning that frees the mind and reconnects us with the essence of who we are. Are you ready to discover a new horizon? From childhood, we are placed in a system that dictates what we should learn, when we should learn it, and how we should think. But does this structure really teach us anything? Schopenhauer believed it does not. He saw the educational system as a factory, an impersonal mechanism designed to mold obedient minds, not free ones. Over the years, we are bombarded with pre-digested information, presented rigidly and out of context. Our natural curiosity is replaced with formulas we are expected to memorize and repeat without ever questioning their purpose. In this way, we become passive consumers of ideas that are not our own, incapable of seeing beyond the invisible walls this system builds around us. Think about it. How different could it have been if education was not an imposition, but an invitation to explore the world on our own terms? Learning should be a journey that begins with experience. We should explore the world, live its nuances, make mistakes, and then seek answers that make sense to us. But formal education reverses this order. We are forced to accept theoretical concepts before having any practical experience that connects them to reality. Schopenhauer called this artificial education, a process that disconnects us from the world and traps us in ideas that often do not resonate with our lives. The result is a sense of emptiness. We are trained to repeat, but not to understand, to memorize, but not to apply. And when we finally leave school, we discover how little we know about what truly matters. This inversion robs us of something fundamental, the ability to think for ourselves and to find meaning in our own experiences. When an educational system limits the potential of each individual, it shapes society as a whole. We live in a world where critical thinking is rare, where creativity is discouraged, and where people prefer ready-made answers to deep questions. Schopenhauer believed that this model is not just a mistake, but a tragedy. It creates a society of conformity, where innovation is stifled, and the search for truth is replaced by the comfort of easy ideas. We are taught to accept, not to question, to follow rules, not to create paths. And so, we become a crowd of dormant minds, unable to see the infinite possibilities that exist beyond what has been imposed on us. What would happen if we broke these barriers? What could we build if we dared to think for ourselves? Schopenhauer warned us of a danger we often ignore, the illusion of knowledge. He said that reading without reflecting is like eating without digesting, something that fills us but does not nourish us. When we consume information without questioning it, we become prisoners of ideas that are not truly ours. We are like mirrors, reflecting only what is shown to us, without ever generating our own light. But through reflection and questioning, we transform knowledge into something alive, something that belongs to us. This is true learning, not accumulating information, but building wisdom. And this is only possible when we have the courage to think beyond what we have been taught. Schopenhauer believed there is an alternative, and it is within everyone's reach: self-education. Learning alone is more than a method. It is a personal revolution. When we decide to explore the world on our own terms, we reclaim the curiosity that the system stifled. We discover a rhythm that is ours, a way of learning that connects directly with who we are and who we want to become. It does not mean abandoning books, but using them as tools, not chains. It means looking at the world with curious eyes and an open mind, always seeking new connections. Self-education is more than an act of learning. It is an act of freedom. Facing the shadow is one of the greatest challenges for those seeking self-discovery. Schopenhauer believed that our doubts, fears, and contradictions are not weaknesses, but keys to understanding who we truly are. The shadow holds what we avoid, but also what we must confront to grow. When we learn to accept and explore these aspects, we uncover a strength we never imagined we possessed. The shadow stops being an enemy and becomes a guide, a map pointing to the places where light can finally enter. This is not an easy process. It requires courage and honesty. But for those who dare to face it, the rewards are transformative. It's in the shadow that we discover clarity, depth, and a profound connection to ourselves. When we step away from the limitations imposed by the system and choose to learn on our own, something extraordinary happens. Learning ceases to be about accumulating facts and becomes a journey of discovering ourselves. Schopenhauer teaches us that true learning aligns with our desires, our experiences, and our unique vision of the world. By freeing ourselves from the constraints of artificial knowledge, we create space to build something authentic. Authentic knowledge is not what we are told to accept, but what emerges from our quest, from our curiosity, and from the weight of our own lived experience. This kind of knowledge doesn't just transform our minds, it reshapes who we are and how we see life. But this freedom does not come easily. It requires discipline, courage, and, most importantly, a willingness to question even our deepest certainties. Have you ever noticed the intensity with which a child explores the world? Everything is new, every moment a mystery waiting to be unraveled. But over the years, we are taught to abandon this natural curiosity. We replace why with "that's just how it is." Schopenhauer believed the key to true learning is reclaiming this original curiosity, the ability to look at the world as if it were for the first time. When we let curiosity guide us, every moment becomes an opportunity to learn. Every question leads to a new path, and every discovery brings us closer to who we are. Curiosity is not just a tool. It is the engine that propels the human mind to transcend its limits. Reclaiming it is not just an act of learning, but of rebirth. Critical thinking is like navigating an uncharted ocean. It challenges us to question the ideas we've been presented with, to dismantle truths we once considered unshakable, and to rebuild an understanding that is truly our own. For Schopenhauer, critical thinking was the foundation of all wisdom. It's not just about doubting, but about creating. It's a slow process that demands patience and bravery, but leads us to a place of clarity and authenticity. When we think critically, we become more than mere consumers of ideas. We become creators, capable of shaping our perspectives and contributing to the world uniquely. This journey is not easy, but it is essential for those who seek not just to learn, but to truly live. One of Schopenhauer's sharpest critiques of the educational system was its separation of theory from practice. He believed theoretical knowledge, when disconnected from reality, loses its value and becomes a burden. But when theory and practice are integrated, they have the power to transform how we see the world. Practice teaches us the limits of theory, while theory offers new ways to interpret practice. Together, they create a cycle of learning that is both profound and applicable. Integrating theory and practice is more than a skill. It is a way of reconnecting with the world, of transforming abstract ideas into meaningful, concrete actions. This integration is not just a technique. It is a way of living fully and consciously in the world. To be self-taught is an act of defiance. It is to challenge norms, to break away from conformity, and to affirm that learning belongs not to institutions, but to individuals. Schopenhauer saw the self-taught learner as someone who refuses to accept the limits imposed by the system. This is someone who chooses to explore the world on their own terms, guided by their curiosity and passions. But this defiance is not a rejection of knowledge. On the contrary, it is a commitment to deeper, more meaningful learning. It is the refusal to accept prepackaged truths and the willingness to seek truth independently, even if it means walking lonely and uncharted paths. The self-taught learner does not settle for being a follower. They strive to be a creator, transforming the world around them through their personal journey of learning. Each of us carries the potential to shape our own journey of learning. It doesn't matter where you started or what you were taught to believe, there is always a path to look beyond. Schopenhauer reminded us that the most powerful learning is the one aligned with who we are, with our experiences, and with the world around us. This is not just a choice, it's a calling. It's a reminder that, at our core, we are all explorers, destined to seek knowledge that transforms, illuminates, and connects us to the essence of our existence. The question now is, are you ready to begin this journey? Schopenhauer believed that within each of us lies a unique potential, dormant and waiting to be awakened. This potential cannot be uncovered through predefined scripts or external instructions, but only through the exploration of our own passions and interests. When we free ourselves from the limitations imposed by the system, we begin to see the world in ways that were previously invisible. We realize that learning is not an end in itself, but a path to understanding who we truly are and how we can transform the world around us. It is a process that demands patience and courage, but in return, it offers something invaluable: the ability to shape our destiny and create a future that reflects our true essence. A free mind is a mind unafraid of the unknown. For Schopenhauer, intellectual freedom was the highest goal one could achieve. This freedom does not come from external sources. It is born within us when we allow ourselves to question, doubt, and explore. But building a free mind is a constant challenge. It requires us to face not only the limitations imposed by society, but also those we impose on ourselves. It requires us to deconstruct old ideas and open ourselves to new perspectives. A free mind is like a garden that must be continuously cultivated, with curiosity as its water, reflection as its soil, and courage as its sunlight. When we nurture this freedom, we discover that learning is infinite, and that the world is far greater than we were taught to believe. Schopenhauer saw learning as an endless cycle, where each discovery leads to new questions, and each answer opens doors to further mysteries. It is a process that never ends, but transforms us with every step. This cycle of true knowledge is not linear. It challenges us to revisit our beliefs, question what we have already learned, and seek connections between ideas that once seemed unrelated. Each turn of this cycle brings us closer to wisdom, not the kind defined by others, but the kind that only we can build. In this process, we find not just answers, but also purpose. Learning ceases to be a task and becomes an art, the art of living with meaning. Schopenhauer's ideas, written centuries ago, are more relevant today than ever before. In a world overflowing with information but lacking understanding, his invitation to reflect and learn independently, echoes as an urgent call. He reminds us that learning is not something that can be given. It is something that must be earned. It is a personal journey where each of us carves our own path and defines our own destiny. And this journey, though often solitary, is also the most rewarding. Because, in the end, it is through this journey that we find not just knowledge, but freedom. And not just freedom, but the truth of who we are. Now, I want to extend an invitation to look beyond what you've been taught, to question what you've accepted without reflection, to explore the parts of the world and of yourself that still remain in shadow. The journey of self-education is challenging, but it is also transformative. It teaches us that we don't need to follow the path of everyone else. We can create our own. We can learn in ways that make sense to us, at our own pace, with our own eyes. The world is full of knowledge waiting to be discovered. What will you do with it? What will you uncover when you start to seek for yourself? Schopenhauer showed us that the shadow is not the enemy. It is a reminder that there is still so much to explore, so much to understand. The shadow is the space where the unknown resides, where curiosity finds new horizons. When we face our shadows, we not only learn about the world, but also about ourselves. We uncover our strengths, our weaknesses, and, most importantly, our purpose. Self-education is not just about acquiring knowledge. It is about transforming our vision, our lives, and our impact on the world. And this begins now. What will you do with your next step? What will you discover when you open the doors that the system tried to keep closed? If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments. What have you learned on your own that changed your life? Like this video, share it with others who need to awaken, and subscribe to continue this journey of discovery and self-knowledge. The shadow can be the beginning of something extraordinary.